And I'm Connor. Today we will talk about television in the 1960s. We'll not only talk about TV but also television shows and movies, a wide range and variety of Australian movies and TV shows, including the spectacular event that changed their history, the first landing on the moon, which is shown in many movies, but one movie which will be shown in later on is The Dish, which is a great Australian movie. First of all, television began testing on the 16th of September 1956 from the TCN9 Sydney, with the official release of television broadcasting on 27th of October, with the first words of
"Good evening and welcome to television."
The most famous words were from Bruce Gingill. TV was not only the greatest invention, but it was the biggest and largest change to happen in human history. Some say that television is a bad invention, but I am against that. There are more pros than cons when it comes to television, and a reason for that is that it keeps you with up-to-date information, along with education shows such as National Geographic and Discovery Channel. By the time television was made, there were man-made technological advances during the 1960s. Countless ways of inventions to support and satisfy those, meaning the world. Other inventions who would use to their daily modern lifestyles. Because of limitations to technology, it was very difficult and expensive to record and disperse local programming. The majority of local content was broadcasted live to air in the first decade of television. The first TV licenses were cleared and ready to put forward towards TV. Many of these changes led to a great concentration of cross-media ownership. By 1960, the Packer family's combined press group controlled by Channel 9 in Melbourne and Sydney. Wondering why my screen is black and white? Don't worry, I'll get to that soon. The advent of TV effectively destroyed and ruined Australia's once exciting and thriving radio production industry within just years. Those Australians who did try to break into TV faced up to almost insuperable challenges. By the end of the 1950s, television had expanded throughout the country to Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth. Only 5% of the population in Melbourne had owned a TV, and only 1% in Sydney. During the 1960s, growth of television grew and grew throughout Australia, mainly into regional areas. Being the first regional TV was bound to happen in Victoria in 1961. By the start of 1964, the federal government addressed concerns about completion in local production by licensing a third television station in the major cities. As soon as satellite broadcasting came into play by the late 1960s, allowed news stories and programs to be accessed from around the world at your doorstep. The first live satellite transmission occurred between Australia and United Kingdom in 1966. Now take a break. See you soon.
Introducing our tough one, the 1970 Chevelle SS396. It's a great performer, except for one thing. No one gives it a chance to perform. Not that we can blame them. After all, there's a lot to admire about the new Chevelle SS396.
Your car?
Hey, what's that?
A no-nonsense cowl induction hood you can order that actually feeds in extra air when you accelerate. Functional hood pins.
Hey, Bobby pin.
No, these aren't Bobby pin hood pins, baby, and they're for real hood pins.
What's that?
Yeah. Hey, 2 pipes. Gun it for me, will you, buddy? Oh, now, come on.
These are belted fiberglass tires, aren't they?
Yeah.
Consider this fair warning. When you order your Chevelle SS396 at your Chevy dealer's sports department, expect to draw a crowd, no matter where you take it.
If you just tuned in, don't worry, we were just talking about the introduction of television and how it changed throughout the 1960s. Television went into effect. They knew that they needed to produce to keep the people happy. So they provided local and national news to keep people up to date on what the world is doing and the latest weather conditions. Speaking of weather conditions, we will cross over to Connor live right now. Thank you, Connor. Now as we go to Brisbane, it is 40 degrees. Along with Cairns, which is 32. Now as we cross over down to Sydney, it is 31 degrees. down to Melbourne, it's 32 degrees. Hobart is cold with a side of cold with 28 degrees. Alice Springs in the middle, 45 degrees. Darwin, 42. And Perth, 48. In other words, it's a hot with a side of hot. Back now with the continue of television. News and current affairs affected the way people could see the world and how everyone affect the way they live, including weather and atmospheric conditions. It impacted very heavily as people depended on it very highly so that they know what is going on locally, nationally, and also in their state. The reason it was black and white back then is because it was the only colour they had. You had to do the transmissions in the satellites. So by the late 1960s, early 1970s, they transferred to colour, like this. Now that we have colour back, we will quickly go to an ad and then we will be right back.
Coca-Cola has the taste you never get tired of. Always refreshing. That's why things go better with Coke after Coke after Coke.
We're back live right now. If you just joined with us, we were just talking about the television's history. In the 1960s, satellite TV was first introduced, which meant a big change in television visualization. Satellite television lets you access other television broadcasts around the world to listen in and hear what is happening in the country or region. Television shows and news were being produced. Movies were also a big hit in the television epidemic, with the famous Wizard of Oz, but one movie in particular that accordingly explained the first landing on the moon produced in Australia, which was The Dish. The movie The Dish highly explained the radio recording of the Apollo 11 landing on the moon, which was the first signal in the southern hemisphere to receive transmissions when America had transmission problems of their own during the landing. Starring Sam Neill as Cliff Buxton, who worked at the Dish located in Parkes Observatory, New South Wales, as in relaying live television of man's first steps on the moon during the Apollo 11 mission in 1969. Let's take a quick look of the movie trailer.
Oh, God. Space Nut knows everything about Apollo 11.
You know where it is?
Was the movie The Dish. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.